In 2019, Isabel Hardman published a book about why we get the wrong politicians. In the course of doing the research of the book, she interviewed, did lots of interviews, thousands of interviews with politicians. And kind of one of her headline findings was that, for the most part, politicians are decent, hard-working people. But what she was arguing was that there are the sort of structural factors around that often mean that these favour the wrong politicians. In the same way, I guess you could argue that something like a factory system will tend to produce workers who can endure long hours of repetitive work and work under pressure. So kind of the system tends to privilege or produce a particular type of person. Now, on May the 15th in 2020, this is during the COVID-19 pandemic, there came a point in May of that year that there was starting to be consideration about whether to start to ease the lockdown and state schools reopen. And at this point, Gavin Williamson, on the 15th of May, in the Daily Mail, Gavin Williamson, who was the Education Secretary at the time, said that the teaching unions had a duty to back the government plans. And I think this idea of teaching unions having a duty to back the government is a really interesting idea to hang on to. I feel a bit like Charles Dickens quoting Great Expectations, but I've already done a piece about Nicky Morgan in 2016, doing a speech at the NES UWT conference, where it appears that she doesn't kind of understand, the forum that she's, talking to. And in the end, in Morgan's, I won't rehearse over that again, but she says as her final bit to the teachers, wouldn't it be more helpful if your press releases from the union were giving the impression that teaching is a good profession? And so kind of what she's doing, that seems to me, is asking the union to do the sort of thing the government should be doing. It's probably a good moment just to have a look at, just looking, got notes, here. Just remind ourselves, like, the purpose of a trade union. So the Employment Relations Act 2008 defines trade unions as, I'll just read this, an association of persons, whether registered or not, having as one of its objects the regulation of employment relations between workers and employers. So it's this idea, isn't it? The union is there to represent the people who are doing the work there. And they go on, they say the main role of the trade union is to ensure the welfare of its members, such as safeguarding the interests of its members, protecting the reliability and integrity of the trade, achieving higher or fair wages by securing economic benefits, seeks to optimise the working conditions in the workplace, and looks to guarantee job security, and looks to support members against any opportunities of unfair dismissal. And of course, I guess one of the things we know is that with the advent of neoliberalism, certainly in the public sector, that what happened is, Wrigley calls it union busting. The power of the unions has been reduced. And so I guess what I'm saying here is that Williamson saying that the union has a duty to back government plans is to misunderstand the role of the teaching union. And we might want to dwell on that, just consider why that happens and why Williamson feels that it's okay to do that. So in the end, I'm not sure that Gavin Williamson is necessarily the wrong politician. I'm not even sure he's necessarily the wrong education secretary. But it does seem to me I would prefer to have an education secretary who does not appear misunderstand the role of the trade unions so badly.